The no purchase challenge is one of the most difficult challenges in zombies history. In this challenge, the only thing I'm allowed to buy are doors, meaning I'm relying on the free items around the map to survive. And today we're going to see if I can complete this challenge on my very first attempt by reaching round 30 on every single map in Black Ops 2 Zombies. We're starting with the easiest map in this challenge, and things will get progressively harder as we move through each map. And the easiest map in this challenge is not up for debate. The first thing I need to do on Die Rise is kill a few zombies, open the first door, and start building the trample steam. When that's done, I take the quick revive elevator back up to the top floor and use the elevator in the spawn room to drop down and then hop across to the second building. From there, my two goals are to turn on the power and build the Liquefier Wonder Weapon. Opening the door to the power switch and the two doors to the Liquefier buildable bench costs a couple thousand points. And at round 3 with only a Colt, things could get a little dicey, but by round 2 the power was on, and by round 3 the Liquefier was in my hands. With that done, I can ride up to the roof, jump back to the first building, and buy my way to the Buddha room at the start of round 4. Believe it or not, the setup phase of this game is now complete. The Liquefier is the only weapon we'll get throughout this entire challenge, and given its strength and generous ammo capacity, that's perfectly fine with me. The strategy is just training or camping in the Buddha room with a Liquefier, but thankfully there is something to break up the monotony and give us more to work with. Every 4 to 6 rounds, jumping jacks, or leapers as they're referred to in the code, will spawn in place of a Hellhound round. Completing this round will spawn a max ammo, but completing the round without missing a bullet will give you a random perk bottle. The trick is that this is not an accuracy challenge, it's a don't miss a single shot challenge. So if you complete a leaper round without firing a single shot, say by killing everything with a trample steam, you'll still get a free perk. The first perk I want is Juggernog, which is a 1 in 6 chance on a map with 6 perks. Will the zombie god smile upon us today? Hell yeah. Alright. Please be Jug. I need you right there to be Jug. Let's fucking go! It would appear so. With Jug and a Liquefier on such a low round, there's not a whole lot of tension in the gameplay right now, so let's skip ahead to the next sleeper round and see what perk we get next. Alright, if you could be Speed Cola, that would be really great. Speed Cola. Okay. Well, that sucks, but it's not as bad as it could be. Speed Cola was the ideal next perk for those faster reloads, but either Quick Revive or Who's Who is great as an additional safety net in case I go down. And believe it or not, Who's Who is actually better than Quick Revive in this situation, since if I'm able to successfully revive myself with Who's Who, I'd keep Juggernog and any other perk I earn in the future. Who's Who isn't my first pick, but it's not the worst thing I could have got. Worse than Who's Who would be Double Tap, which isn't entirely useless since I can use my M1911 to kill a zombie or two at the end of a round and save ammo in the Liquefier, but Mule Kick is entirely useless when I can't buy a third weapon or earn another weapon on this map. But speaking of perks, let's see what that third leaper round has in store for us. Alright. Speed Cola. Please be Speed Cola. Okay. Quick Revive is not bad. It looks like our safety net just got a bit deeper. That was 1 in 4 odds for Speed Cola. Let's see if 1 in 3 treats us any better. Hit. Okay, Double Tap isn't terrible. Well, at least we didn't get Mule Kick. Our odds of getting a green perk is 1 of 1, but let's see if our 1 in 2 odds get us the green perk we actually want. Okay, Speed Cola, please. Mule Kick? What am I gonna do with Mule Kick? Cool. Thanks, game. Well, the luck scales had to balance some way. At this point, it was entirely possible that I would never get Speed Cola, but I got lucky and got the final leaper round on round 28. That gave me my 6th and final perk that I could use for a whole 1 round before finally reaching round 30. What makes Die Rise the easiest map in this challenge is the ability to get both perks and weapons for free, but the remaining maps will only give you one or the other. So while this next map is by definition the second easiest, you're about to see a difficulty spike like nothing you've ever seen before. Origins starts off relatively normal. After spawning in, I pick up the shovel, max this drone part, and lay down in front of the quick revive machine for some additional points. I hope you enjoyed that normalcy because that's where it ends. Most people would also activate the generator to get the power on, but the generators require a purchase to turn on. I can't buy the perks in Pack-a-Punch to the power, but losing the max ammo from the Templar rounds and trials will make the late game a little more challenging. To make it to that late game, I need to get one of the elemental staves. So at the start of round 4, I leave the starting room and grab the ice disc, G-strike stone, a piece of the shield, and the final part of the ice staff. That's everything I need at Gen 2, so I immediately head towards the mound and get the second shield part, lightning disc, and mound disc. Unfortunately, the second part of the ice staff didn't spawn in the main area, so I had to open the door to generator 5 to get the second staff part. That doesn't leave a lot of room for error in the budget, but a lucky double points means that I can afford to open to the church where I can get the fire disc, and then... oh. Once again, luck doesn't swing my way. Now I need to open to generator 6 at the back of the church to get my final ice staff parts. I can pick up another part for the Maxis drone while building up some more points, but I'd like to point out that none of the dig sites have spawned a gun for me, and knifing on round 4 is more than a little sketchy. Thankfully, a well-timed max ammo keeps things from getting ugly. With a fistful of points, I can open the last door, place down my G-strike stone, and dig up the final piece of the ice staff. Or not. This happens sometimes on Origins. Sometimes the ice staff pieces won't spawn in together, and I'm really not sure why. What I am sure of is that the snowy weather that indicates the ice staff parts can spawn will go away after round 4 and won't return until round 10. That makes the Panzer fight on round 8 far more difficult and means I can't start the staff upgrade process until at least round 10. And it's here where I would normally reset to make things easier for myself, but I'm giving myself one shot per map. No exceptions. So I decide to head towards Gen 3, get the final shield part, and start working towards the backup plan. It's round 5, and despite digging up every possible dig site, I still don't have a weapon not named the Mauser, let alone a weapon I can fight the Panzer with. Thankfully, my backup plan can solve both of these issues. I start the round by picking up the wind disc that I forgot about, and after farming enough points to open up to the top of the mound, I pick up the gramophone, open up the tomb, and get the final part of the Maxis drone. With the Maxis drone in hand, I can start working towards one of the best side Easter eggs in this entire map. For those of you who don't know, there are 4 yellow discs hidden around the map that the Maxis drone can collect while deployed. Once all 4 are collected, a free Magna Collider will spawn in front of the Pack-a-Punch machine. The MG08, known as the Magna Collider when Pack-a-Punched, is a map-exclusive light machine gun on Origins with the same damage numbers as the LSAT on Nuketown, Mob of the Dead, and Buried, but with a way faster reload. It's one of the best weapons in the entire game, and without getting a weapon from a dig site, it's the only other weapon I'm able to use alongside my staff. I finally get the Magna Collider towards the end of round 7, and after picking up a fresh shield at the end of the round, I am ready to fight Papa Panzer himself. I'm not even worried about Panzer. This is gonna be fine. I don't need Maxis. I have an MG08. It's not an ice staff, but you know, I'm not worried about Panzer. This is fine. I'm especially not worried about... oh, there he is. I was about to ask, where the hell is he? Oh, he's right there. Hi, die. He's not dying. He's dying. Ooh, he got a little close there. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, is that me? Is that my heart beating? Hey, there's also a lot of zombies that, I mean, they're kind of here. Hey, listen, enough of that. Ooh, pick that up. Thank you. With the Panzer down, I can keep killing until round 10 when the snow finally returns and pick up the final part of the ice staff. I ended the round prematurely on round 10, so at the end of round 11, I go ahead and save a zombie, get the ice crystal from the crazy place, and finally build the ice staff. From there, the upgrade is 1 puzzle in the crazy place, 3 destroyed gravestones, and a glowing orb away until the staff requires souls from the crazy place. Hanging around in the crazy place without Jug is always a little sketchy, but it doesn't take long until the ice staff becomes the ultimate ice staff, and the setup phase for this challenge is done. I'm sure some of you are wondering about all the things I didn't get, like the G-strikes or the 1-inch punch, and there's a very simple answer. Sure, there are some free items around the map that I could still get, and I did plan plan on getting the G-Strikes, but without Jug, getting them is really risky, and ultimately I don't think they'll help us out with a strategy I have in mind. That strategy might look familiar to anyone who saw my last video. We're camping at the bottom of the fire tunnel with the ice staff and shooting a charged shot right here to kill anything that spawns inside the tunnel itself or anything coming down the tunnel's entrance. If anything goes wrong or a panzer spawns, I can jump through the portal for a quick escape, and the Magna Collider is perfectly capable of handling insta-kills, zombie bloods, or the last trailing zombies that aren't worth a charged staff shot. Anyone who watched my last video also knows that if you don't time those staff shots properly, it can get pretty hairy, especially knowing that one zombie can end my entire game in the blink of an eye. But if you learn the timing, it's actually a really easy strategy. So easy that the only thing of interest that happened in the rest of the game was lucking into a golden shovel and helmet when a max ammo shortage briefly forced me outside of my camping strategy during a panzer round. Barring those panzer rounds, it was actually a really boring strategy. But if you want a map whose late game is just as chaotic as its early game, a trip to the Golden State might be right for you. Mob of the Dead starts with the most important coin flip of this entire odyssey, and it's a coin flip that I win. I needed the Warden's Key to spawn on the cafeteria side of the map, so on round 1 I could leave the spawn room, and after picking up the first part of the Acid Gat kit, enter Afterlife to drop the Warden's Key, open the door to the laundry room, and open this jail cell to reveal a double points power up. From there I can use the Warden's Key to open this door in the laundry room, power the laundry room's lone washing machine, and start the machine. Starting this machine spawns in a couple dozen zombies, which is exactly what I wanted. I went through the entire holdout without killing a single zombie, and after picking up the first plane part from the laundry machine, I rounded up all the zombies, picked up that double points, and went to town. I got lucky and a max ammo spawned during the process, and I finished round 1 with a cool 6.5k. Those points are for opening up the map while I work on feeding the 3 Cerberus heads to earn the Hell's Retriever. After feeding the first dog next to the spawn room, I made my way to the infirmary, picked up another Acid Gat kit part as well as the second plane part, and started on the Cerberus head. That head was finished on round 3, and after entering Afterlife to power the gondola and the door to the Warden's office, it was time to head to the docks. The first thing I do down here is pick up the 3 shield parts and use the Warden's Key to unlock the door to another plane part before spending the rest of the round feeding the 3rd Cerberus head. The very first zombie on round 4 finishes the final Cerberus head, so then I enter Afterlife to shock the 3 generators to kill power to the electrified door in the Warden's office, and then send power to the door at the docks so I could get my 3rd plane part. At that point I decided not having a weapon wasn't fun anymore, so I opened every door between the docks and the Citadel and picked up the Hell's Retriever. This Tomahawk Boomerang hybrid is not only one of the most powerful weapons in Zombies history, but it's also the key to the one and only gun I'll have for this entire run. But before we get there, let's finish collecting all the plane parts since the next one is also in the Citadel. On my way to pick up the Retriever, I used the Warden's Key to unlock this number pad, and after entering Afterlife, I need to enter the numbers shown on the walls into this number pad. Once the correct number is entered, this elevator will drop down, which has my 4th plane part. Then I head back to the top of the Citadel, use the last of my points to open this door next to Double Tap, and then use the Warden's Key to open this previously electrified door and get my 5th and final plane part. While I'm here, I pick up the final part for the Acid Gat kit and start working towards that Acid Gat by throwing the Hell's Retriever at this power line to collect a blue skull. This is part of a side Easter egg that gives the player a free Blundergat wonder weapon, and all you have to do is throw a Hell's Retriever at that power line as well as this dock pull by a mystery box location, this light post next to Juggernog, the skull in this jail cell outside of spawn, and this corner of the rooftop. Speaking of the roof, I didn't open it the last time I was in the infirmary, so I used my last Afterlife to open the door to the rooftop and built the plane while I was here before heading back down to the Warden's office to pick up my free Blundergat. That Blundergat doesn't stay a Blundergat for long though. On round 5 I went ahead and built the shield in the cafeteria, and after building the Acid Gat kit next to Electric Cherry, I went ahead and did the conversion. Believe it or not, this was a tragic mistake, but we'll come back to it later. With the shield and Acid Gat in hand, I decided to take my first plane ride to the Golden Gate Bridge because the Hell's Retriever has an upgrade. The first part requires getting about a dozen kills with the Hell's Retriever while on the island, which I did back on round 5 before building the shield and Acid Gat kit. The second part is completing an entire round on the Golden Gate Bridge without firing a weapon and only using the Hell's Retriever to kill zombies, which I did on round 10. After returning to the island, all I needed to do was throw the Hell's Retriever into this portal to Hell, wait around, enter Afterlife, and return to the Hell's Retriever spawn in the Citadel to pick up the Hell's Redeemer. With a full charge, the Hell's Retriever is a one-hit kill up until round 19, but the Hell's Redeemer is a one-hit kill until round 19 without any charge, and does infinite damage when charged just once. And if you're wondering what the other two charges of the Hell's Redeemer do, that's a good question that I don't know the answer to. I didn't actually know the damage values of the Redeemer or Retriever until scripting this, so I'm using all three charges throughout the video. If you happen to know the answer, leave a comment, and while you're down there typing or looking for an answer yourself, you should subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one. Seamless and shameless plug aside, after picking up the Hell's Redeemer, I decided to make the mid-game a little more interesting by going for the Golden Spork. This quest starts out by throwing either the Hell's Retriever or Redeemer at this poster inside one of the jail cells to reveal another Afterlife portal next to the Warden's office. After entering the portal in Afterlife, shocking this spoon on the floor, and then throwing either the Hell's Retriever or Redeemer at this spoon in the cafeteria, you need to go to the infirmary and interact with this bathtub of blood, and the spoon you picked up will stir the blood before submerging itself. At that point, you need to go to the laundry room and get between 50 and 75 kills with the acid gat, which brings us back to the mistake I mentioned all the way back on round 5. While the acid gat is one of my all-time favorite wonder weapons, it does have a problem that becomes all too apparent without Juggernog. Splash damage. The acid gat is great at killing zombies, but with my lack of health and a blast radius that's a lot wider than you would think, it's really easy to take damage while using this thing. Usually it's not enough to outright kill you, but in combination with a single zombie hit, it's enough to red screen you. I haven't talked about my deaths and downs in this challenge because up until now there haven't been any, but while this down on round 14 is entirely because I didn't realize my shield was broken, look how close the acid gat gets to killing me a second time immediately after. Here on round 17, the acid gat does actually kill me while trying to get the Golden Spork, and after hearing the audio cue telling me these steps were done, okay, this one is also my fault, but it would have been really easy to make it through if I just had the regular Blundergat. I don't regret much about the 5 games I played for this challenge, but if I could do one thing over again, I'd keep the regular Blundergat instead of the Acid Gat. The Blundergat is more consistent, great for single target damage if there's one guy in my way, and it's pretty darn good for groups too. The only major downside is that I can't get the Golden Spork without the Acid Gat, but while the Golden Spork is a cool melee weapon that one-shots until round 34, it's not at all necessary for what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is what just about everyone does on this map. Round 18 through 30 is going to be training in the cafeteria while trying to avoid killing myself with the acid gat. It doesn't go well. There's a down on round 18, and another on round 22. It's not starting off well, and buddy, it's about to get a whole lot worse. No, you stop that. He just locked my shield. He just locked my shield. I can't get another shield now. This is the last one I get. Fuck! I forgot I had the Golden Spork for a second and didn't melee him. I should have meleeed him. Alright, only 6 more rounds without a shield or jug. Can't buy that because I'm poor. Well, that sucks. I guess we're playing the rest of this extremely close quarters map without jug or a shield. That goes about as well as you would expect with my 7th down on round 24 and my 8th down also on round 24. That was all the evidence I needed to know this wasn't going to work. I needed somewhere with a little more space, so I decided to recollect all the fuel cans for the plane, fly back to the Golden Gate Bridge, and play the rest of my game here. The upside is that this is the most open area on the entire map. The downside is that a Brutus will spawn every single round, and an additional Brutus will spawn per round spent on the bridge. So on round 24, there's 1 Brutus. On round 25, there's 2. On round 26, there's 3, and thankfully this maxes out at 4 Bruti on round 27 and beyond. And while on paper this is still a good idea, it didn't fix the dying issue. I took down 9 on round 25, down 10 on round 27, and downs 11 and 12 on round 29. But I did it. I made it all the way to round 30 without buying anything other than doors. Was it worth it? Does it sound like it was worth it? I'm free! Fuck this map, fuck this challenge, and especially fuck the goddamn Brutus. Oh, you're spawning in now? I've had this Golden Spork and a question on my mind this entire time. Die. It did nothing. Fuck. This sucks. I won't pretend I played well in that second half, but getting the acid gat was an all-time terrible mistake, and Brutus forcing me to go shieldless for the last 7 rounds only made things significantly harder. Whether it was my fault or not, this ended up being one of the hardest challenges I've ever done. And somehow, the next 2 maps would end up being even harder. I bet you're not used to seeing Buried on the difficult side of a challenge, but as you'll soon see, Buried absolutely deserves to be here. After leaving the spawn room and drawing the Remington on the wall, I immediately take this backdoor route to turn the power on without buying a single door. From there I open Leroy's jail cell and give him the booze to break out of the prison. Luckily the booze respawns right next to me, and after buying my way through the candy shop, I have Leroy break the debris in front of the witch's house. On round 2 I have the money to open the front door and I can start working towards my free perks. The M1911 is still good enough to kill the witches with headshots, and knives can damage them too. Getting to the free perk isn't the issue. The issue is getting the right perk. Please be Jug. Let's fucking go. Oh my god, that's hype. Well, I guess it's not an issue at all. Getting Juggernog here is a 1 in 7 chance, and combined with the 1 in 6 chance of getting Juggernog first on die rides, the odds of back-to-back lead-off Juggernog is 1 in 42, or 2.4%. Needless to say, I got astoundingly lucky here, but that only matters if I can do something with it. The next 5 rounds were nothing but opening doors with Leroy's booze and points I earned by drawing weapons on the wall, as well as building the 4 buildable items around the map. Once that was all done, it was time to revisit the witch's house for a second free perk. Hey, alright, Vulture Aid would be perfect. Quick Revive is good too! I'm happy with Quick Revive. The good luck keeps on rolling, since Quick Revive is one of the best perks I could have asked for. The best perk I could get is Juggernog for obvious reasons, and Vulture Aid is a close second. The additional ammo drops are nice, and the green gas can save my life in certain situations. Stamina Up is great for the additional speed and sprint recovery time, and if I want more perks than that, Double Tap will help my M1911 kill the witches on higher rounds. Speed Cola is a marginal benefit at best given the M1911's fast reload times, and just like Die Rise, Mule Kick is completely useless. And on a map without Who's Who, Quick Revive is the best safety net I can have for this challenge. But would you believe me if I told you that the most important perk is one we can't actually see? Ooh, did I just get PhD? Permaperks. We haven't talked about them so far in this challenge, but it's time they finally become relevant. Most people use PhD to absorb explosive damage, but a surprisingly underrated part of PhD is the explosion created when you dolphin dive. If the permaperk version of PhD has the same damage values as the bottled version, diving to prone will insta-kill zombies up until round 20, when it will start making crawlers, and zombies will regain their walking privileges at round 30 when the challenge is already over. And thank God it's that powerful, because this is the only offensive weapon we'll get for the entire game. Oh, what's that? You thought I'd have a gun for this challenge? Yeah, right, this is Buried, bucko. Big iron costs a pretty penny that you don't have to spend. Okay, that's a little overdramatic, but not entirely untrue. Alongside PhD, I can kill zombies with the various buildable traps, mainly the Trample Steam returning from Die Rise and the brand new Head Chopper that can kill me as easily as the zombies. But by and large, this game will be spent diving to prone and shaking zombies to the bone with some PhD. The streets of Buried are mean, and they get meaner when you give Leroy some candy and watch him go berserk. The big problem with this strategy is that neither Traps or Leroy can spawn power-ups, and while PhD can spawn power-ups, they seem to be relatively rare, so rare that the next time the witches call my number, I am completely out of ammo. But that just leaves more time for shenanigans. What the fuck? Spider-Man meme? Why are there 2 of them? I'm seeing double here. 4 max ammos. Thanks, video games! Never change Black Ops 2. Never change. In case any of you were wondering, buildable traps can't damage the witches, so those max ammos are the only reason I have a try at this third perk. Cool. Give me Vulture Aid. Stamina Up's fine too. Stamina Up might just seem like a quality of life boost, but having greater sprint duration is extremely valuable since I need to be sprinting to dive to prone. And after a lot more diving to prone, it was time for a 4th perk. Hell yeah, Vulture Aid? Double Tap's alright. Double Tap is actually okay. Vulture Aid would have been best, but I guess Double Tap is the second best option. The next perk opportunity is on round 23. Will I get Vulture Aid then? We'll never know. No! I got hit while trying to flop and it destroyed my movements. Do I have Tombstone? I don't. No. Exactly one hit did that. Absolutely tragic. If you don't know what happened, if you get hit while sprinting, you will stop sprinting for a second. I tried diving to prone just after getting hit, and because I was no longer sprinting, I couldn't dive and crouched instead. It didn't go well. Things could have gone very differently here. The Tombstone perma-perk allows you to keep your perks after going down. This is a perma-perk that most people have, but I don't. There are other perma-perks, such as a persistent Juggernog, that could have also been really helpful had I done a setup game, but if I only have one shot at each map, I'm not allowed to set up in a previous game. I'm rolling in with whatever I have, and I have to make it work. Can I make it work despite not having any perks? Okay. I'm not quite sure how that happened. Things could have gone a lot differently. There's a path to reaching round 30 here, but one stroke of bad luck is enough to erase all the prior good luck. Even so, I'm pretty happy with round 20. Buried gives me the chance at perks, but I don't have a single gun to work with, and that's really why Buried is the hardest no-purchase challenge in Black Ops 2. Or at least it would be. Oh dear God, what have I done? What have I done to deserve this? There's a reason there aren't any videos doing a no purchase challenge on Transit. 1, you have to play Transit, but 2 is what you have to play Transit with. Mob of the Dead and Origins both gave out multiple weapons to kill zombies. Buried gave us a method for free perks and has multiple buildables that can, for all intents and purposes, replace a gun. Die Rise was generous enough to give us both a powerful weapon in the Sliquifier as well as a method for free perks with the Leaper rounds. And I guess Die Rise was just too generous because the luck scales have to balance. Transit does not have a way to earn free perks. Transit also does not have a way to earn any free weapons. The jet gun is a weapon by definition, but anyone who's actually used this hunk of junk knows that it's a weapon in name only, and without Jug, a gun that pulls you towards the zombies is out of the question. But that doesn't mean I can just skip the map. I set out to play every Black Ops 2 map, and I have an idea that's very, very, very dumb. Alright. We have our one weapon for this entire fucking game. Let's go. This is gonna end horribly and very soon, because what the fuck am I doing? This isn't a joke. Unless this is referring to Transit, but I'm dead serious. It is my intent to shield bash my way to round 30 because there are no other options left. And when I tried this, the darndest thing happened. It almost worked. We all know how awesome the shield is defensively, but I never really considered how it could work offensively. And to my surprise, it was awesome! Not only was the shield an awesome offensive weapon, the diner's open space made gathering the Horde as easy as a map like Kino or Ascension. And if the shield broke mid-round, there were not 1, but 2 consistent out routes to escape an area that looks like instant death during the middle of a round. Had a denizen not come out of absolutely fucking nowhere and broke my neck like Lethal Company's Coilhead, this would have gone further. Hell, depending on how well the shield holds up in the 20s, this might have reached round 30. And beyond all of that, the gameplay itself was the most fun I've had on Transit in a long time. The diner gave me more than enough space to work with, but having the shield without Jug meant I was always on the knife's edge. One mistake was enough to end my game at any point, so it never got boring like training on a map like Ascension. By complete accident, the balance was nearly perfect. What does that mean? How did the map that gave me nothing become more fun than the map that gave me everything? Funnily enough, I think the answer is in the question. When you have a Sliquifier or an Ice Staff or are lucky enough to get Jug as your first perk, there's pressure to succeed. And that pressure can change your perception if you let it. It's no longer about the process, but the results. But on a map that gives you nothing, buddy, the fact the result was in the double digits is a fucking miracle. Maybe that's the lesson here. Maybe the miracle was the point all along. If you start with nothing, and something as ordinary as round 16 is a miracle, what does average look like? I'll complain all I want about the acid gat that killed me as often as it killed the zombies, or perks like double tap on die rise that aren't really that helpful, but without them, I would have been drowning. These weren't handouts. They were life jackets, and we live in a world where some people are all too happy to replace those life jackets with anvils and anchors. Out there in the real world, there's a lot more on the line. So the next time you see someone drowning, think twice about which one you want to throw.